I feel like being new with rhythm games is like getting sent to a new world, since it's such a different genre to other video games. To give an example, I'm going to recall my experiences with My, an arcade rhythm game known for its 8-button gameplay and social aspect since it forces you to play with other people due to its 2-player design. I started playing My during the Splash Plus and Universe updates, which was more than 3 years ago, and back then, My wasn't well known, so I never knew anything about it until I randomly walked into an arcade with my friends and saw the machine sitting there by itself. It became love at first sight. I think there's some sort of science behind getting hooked onto something when you're exposed to it for the first time, but it was genuinely addicting at that time. A lot of My players have Astro DX nowadays, which is a phone emulator of the game to play when there aren't any arcades. But it was really bad a couple years ago when I was new to My, so that wasn't an option. Instead, we would do a technique called shadowing. It's where you would mimic the actions of playing the arcade rhythm game. It's common for DDR players to do this when practicing charts, since not everyone can buy a $24,000 machine and host it in their house. So it shouldn't be any different from My players. You would pull up a video and swing your hands around in the air to gain the muscle memories of playing the chart at the arcade. You can do it while walking, or on a monitor, or on a solid wall, or even a McDonald's kiosk machine. The arcades I played at was small and had a young community at the time, which meant that we were all still relatively new at the game. It just meant that I was newer than the players around me, so my perspective on skill was warped. Anyone with a higher rating than me was amazing at the game, and considering the small and young community I was with at the time, everyone around me had like 10k rating, and then we have the gods at 13 to 14k rating. Well, to put things into perspective, I would consider 10k fairly beginner, and then the 13 to 14k is where you would learn the fundamentals of the game, but not really master them. These guys were scary, since they look serious with the headphones plugged in, and the gloves. You know they mean business when they pull out the gloves, and then get a shit ton of scores on levels that I wish I could play. But it wasn't long until I bought my own equipment and got 10k rating. I thought to myself, okay, now I'm getting serious, because look how good I am at the game. How naive I was, because as you can see, I didn't have any exposure to any highly experienced players, until one day a group of players we've never seen before appeared in our arcade. They tapped their cards on the machine, and that's when we saw their rating. 16k? The website only goes up to 15k. How's this even possible? It was mesmerizing for a small community to see them play, because I've seen plenty of videos of pro My players, but nothing like that in real life until now. I remember seeing them hit a jack for the first time. It's a long stream of notes that requires you to use 2 hands to hit them, a pattern that's mostly found in higher level charts, and it was kind of mind-blowing to see such a strange technique at the time. It genuinely was a special moment watching these people play back then, because it showcased how high the skill ceiling was with My. I remember being like, wow, I cannot imagine being a Rainbow player, because there's no way I'm going to dedicate myself to an arcade rhythm game that much. What a waste of money. Oh, I'm already 15k. It took me a year and a half to reach this goal, and it would have been a very cool achievement back then because the game was much more harder. But with every major update, they release easier charts to play, as well as balancing existing charts to reward more rating than they honestly should have, which makes the goal of getting 15k easier with every update. Although, with a growing community and a lot of hard work by the players, seeing 15k to 16k players is pretty common now. I mean, they're all addicted to the game, so it's not like you can avoid them. It is a bit intimidating playing with these players, because you're actually so shit at the game that they don't even see you. Most of them don't even want to play with you in the first place because of the rating divide. Like, for top players, the only charts that exist are level 14 and above, so when you choose a level 12 plus, they're gonna get annoyed. It's like an inside joke to call the anime and Vocaloid songs sleepers, since they're popular for casuals and there's a total of 8 charts out of them that are level 14. I kinda do understand the sentiment, because I guess it can be annoying when you play with 8 different players and they all pick whatever popular Japanese song there is. But you just gotta hide the pain away when they pick it. So yeah, there is a lot of things to keep in track when playing with Rainbow players, which does add pressure and judgment to what songs you play. But sometimes you can meet players that don't care about all these chart politics. It's not like they can do a lot. Like, what are they gonna do? Tell you to kill yourself over a chart pick they don't like? I don't want to play here anymore. Our small community had this really cool achievement, and it involves Pandora Paradox, the hardest chart in the game. Basically, clear the chart, because imagine telling people that you passed the hardest chart in the game. That sounds like a really cool flex, right? But in reality, they don't know that it's pretty easy to clear charts in my mind. If it was any other rhythm game, then yes, it would sound cool, since most of them operate under a health system where you have to stay consistent throughout the chart because getting a bunch of misses will drop your health considerably. But in my mind, the only requirement to pass is to get over 80% accuracy. This gives you plenty of leeway to compensate for your lack of skill, as well as mashing your way through the song becomes a viable strategy, which defeats the purpose of a rhythm game. I guess at the time I was proud of my pass. I didn't really try too hard, I just grind up to a skill level that I thought was good enough, and then it took 3 tries until I got it. But the people around me was obsessed with this goal. There was this one girl who really wanted this Pandora pass so much, so it became the only chart she played. Even when she would play with others, her 2 song picks would be Pandora, so the other person would have to suffer with her. The highest she played in one day was a total of 26 times. She was 10k at the time and would get above 70% consistently, an indicator showcasing how close she was to this goal. But one day, during an arcade gathering, we all surrounded her and watched. All the dedication paid off to reach this goal, although it took 94 tries, which is genuinely insane. To compare, my most played chart had 81 plays, and it only reached this high because I was aiming for 100.5%. Looking back, this probably wasn't a productive use of my time. Instead of wailing our hands around on a chart we can barely play, learning the fundamentals of the game and slowly progressing through the levels until you're ready to play the hardest chart in the game would have been more logical. But what's the fun in that? Sometimes I feel like trolling and play a chart that's over my skill level and then immediately regretting it when my arms start to hurt. But to do it all the time, is it really that fun? I mean, I guess there's no need to take the game too seriously all the time, because there's so many people that do. You see, my improvement rate with my man was pretty average, so I got to see plenty of people that had lower rating or just started the game when I initially met them, but then they started to get better, eventually overtaking me and becoming really good at the game. But throughout that journey, you get to see them change. From someone that was carefree and wanting to enjoy Mai to taking the game way too seriously, and sometimes with the added bonus of being toxic. Fuck you, I'm not gonna play your anime song. Let me solo and play a real chart. Bro, you only got 97 on that now? I got that score when I was 13k. You're shit. I don't play with people that are under 16k, so go play your shitty Vocaloid songs with someone else. Oh my god, I gotta admit, this game fucking sucks. Why do I keep playing it? This game changes you, man. I don't know if it's for the better, but you no longer become that innocent carefree player anymore. It just becomes a numbers game, since you only care about that number increasing. Beginners will be like, nah, that will never be me. You'll never see me spamming a chart just to get better accuracy. And then a few months later, they start spamming a chart just to get a 0.1% higher score and a +4 rating when they do get it. That's it. It's nothing special to them. The girl that passed Pandora has more excitement and fulfillment than any of these top players when they get their insane scores. Although, I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I do the same thing as well. Man, why do I still play this game?